Hello guys, welcome to or back to my channel. My name is Emmy. Today we're going to be talking about the Venus Immortalis palette, and if you didn't notice, I don't have makeup on except for my eyebrows and some primer. So I thought today we could do something a little bit different, and I'll do an eye look live while talking to you guys about this palette. So let's just go ahead and do that because I ain't got nothing else to say at the current moment. I do apologize if this is a little bit weird and sketchy and stuff. I just have my brushes sitting in my lap. Like, I don't have a table in front of me or anything, so it's just we're just winging it. You know what? It's fine. Everything's fine. So today for this palette, the first thing I'm going to do is take this flat brush from e.l.f. This is something I use pretty much every single look. It's just good for packing. I'm going to use Ash all over the lid because I'm not convinced yet that this is a good shade, and I just want to see if it looks good over the lid. So far, I like this palette. Okay, see, that looks better. Because when I did my last look, it didn't like show up at all in the crease, so this is good. This is much better. I like this palette, but I feel like I need to convince myself that it's good. And what I mean by that is it has a lot of shortcomings that I don't know if I'm willing to overlook, but we'll see. I don't know if you can tell, this is the third time I've dipped into this shade and it still looks kind of patchy. It's like not bad, but it's not great either. And it's like I said in the Vivids palette, it might be like, I don't know, sheer matte. But again, I don't know why a shade like that would exist. Like, I don't know what use anyone would have for a sheer matte. So the fact that this isn't that pigmented is bothering me a little bit, because it's gray and you're supposed to be able to get dark looks out of this palette, but it's like not horrible, because see, if I pack it on it looks fine. So there's that. I'm going to take this brush right here. This is a really cheap Forever 21 brush, and actually I'm gonna use my knockoff color switch on it really fast because I don't think it's entirely clean. Yeah, that looks better. Okay, sorry if I keep reaching behind myself, it's just that's where all my stuff is, so. You know, I'm gonna take Cameo here, which I said in the swatch portion of this video is very, very light. This shade would be great for a crease shade necessarily, but I do think it helps me blend some of the colors out. So, you see, I don't know how much you can see, I'm sorry, I definitely softened the edge of that. But it looks basically like my skin tone if it was a little bit cooler. If my skin was a little bit cooler. Oh my goodness. My cat's doing a big stretch in the window. Hold on. Let me see if I can whip the camera around and show you guys. Oh my god, he's just the cutest ever. Oh, big stretch! Dutchie! Oh, okay. He does not want to do the stretch right now. He has allergies, so he's a little bit wheezy right now. He's being taken care of. We're keeping an eye on him to make sure he doesn't like go full infection, so we'll take him to the vet if he's not better by the end of this week. So don't worry about him, he's in good hands. Good boy! Huh. I love my Dutchums. Yeah, so I can appreciate how this helps blend out the colors, but it's not like pigmented enough on my skin tone alone to be like a great crease shade. Which, if you're a deeper skin tone than me, which is a lot of people because I'm basically a ghost, you might have a hard time with this shade. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see, let me find another brush. I'm going to use this brush by Spectrum. This is just a teeny tiny blender brush, and I'm going to go into Unseen, which is this black shade right here, and I actually really like this black shade from playing around with it. This is super pigmented black. Just pop that on the outer corner there. Dear God. I'm not going to be doing the lower lash line because obviously, like I said, I only have primer on, so I'm going to come back and do that after I have foundation and everything. And I'm probably going to end up having to clean this up with concealer. Sorry. I'm suffering from allergies too. Because whenever I do really dark shades on the outer corner like this, they always end up getting really messy, but it's not a fault of the shadow, it's just that I suck at makeup. So, this is what ends up happening. But see how I like barely put any on there and it shows up really well. I'm going to put a little bit more on the left side. I like the pigmentation and the color quality of that. Okay, I'm happy with that. For today's look, I think I already used Echo on the lid, so I'm gonna go with Hail. I'm gonna put that all over the lid. I actually want some glitter glue, so hold up. Here's my really busted glitter glue. I don't know how this happened, but this entire spout came off, and I had to super glue it back on, so this is really fragile right now. Why did I put this down? This video is just a train wreck, just like my life. So I'm going to take a little bit of this glitter glue, like really gently, because I'm afraid it's going to explode. And the reason I'm using this is not because these are chunky glitter shades, but because I feel like Lime Crime shadows, and especially their shimmers, well yeah, obviously you wouldn't want to use glitter glue with that, but their shimmers play really well with glitter glue, and while they look really nice foiled, I prefer, if I'm going for a more dramatic look, to use glitter glue with it. So I'm going to take this flat brush from ABH Cosmetics right here, and we're going to dip into the shade Hail, which is that nice silver in the bottom row. Yeah, see how shiny that is? Lord Jeebus. I like that I put the gray base down, because it really just sort of gives it something to stick to. So, go ahead and do that again on the right side. So be so cautious with this. And I really don't know how the entire spout cracked off. I have no clue, like, it's just been sitting there, and I don't use this all the time. So that's whack. I'm gonna put this on this eye. I like these shimmer shades. Like I said, you don't need to use them with the glitter glue. It's just something I've been doing lately with Lime Crime shades, but kind of with every other shimmer shade that I own too, because I'm just so sick of my looks not being pigmented. I don't know. Okay, when we're done with that, I'm going to take this brush by Real Techniques. It's just it's like kind of somewhere between a flat brush and a fluffy brush. Like one side's thicker than the other. And I'm going to go back into Ash, that gray shade, and then just kind of like blend out the edges just a little bit so it doesn't look so blown out, I guess. And you can see, like, it's not showing up when I use it to blend, but it's great when you pack it on, so I guess that's just a fault or a characteristic of this shade. Okay. I'm going to be taking Marble right here with my finger. This is the finger I put glitter glue on. I don't think there's any left on it, but I'll just like wipe it off on my pants because we're disgusting in this house. Take a little bit on my finger and then pop that on the inner corner. And obviously this is going to get a little bit covered by concealer, so we'll go back and do it again, but I just want a little bit right now. So this is the look for right now. I'll lean forward a little bit so you can see. And I'll come back when I have the rest of my face on, and then we can do the lower lash line and talk some more about this palette, and I'll give you my final thoughts. Alright, so I'm back. I've done my face. I noticed that the black on the outside of my eyes got a little bit diffused when I put the shimmer on top, so I'm going to go back and touch that up just a little bit using the same brush, and then we'll move on to the lower lash line. If you're wondering about any of the products I have on my face, I'll have those listed in the description box below, but otherwise, we'll not talk about them. Not in this house. I don't know what I'm saying. Okay, so that looks better. There, I have a little bit more definition now. So I'm going to be taking that same flat brush we used for the first shade and dipping into the same shade, which is Ash, and just running that along my lower lash line. Okay, that's kind of showing up down there. So that's good. I was thinking about the sheer formula, and then I just remembered that they have their plushies palettes, which are technically like soft matte, sheer matte palettes. And I think that while there's a time and place for shades like that, I don't know if a matte sheer gray is gonna be the best idea, but I don't think it's the worst either. I'm gonna take Cameo and just blow that out a little bit. Right, like who's just gonna put a sheer gray on their lids and then go? No offense to you if that's something that you do, but it wouldn't be something that I would do, so it's a little bit confusing to me, I guess. I'm gonna be taking this brush, which is kind of like a tapered, fluffy blending brush. I don't know where this came from. It was a gift, I think maybe on Amazon. It's just a cactus brush. And then I'm just gonna lightly dip into Unseen again and just hit the outer corner of the lower lash line. Just a little bit. Okay. I'm gonna go back in with my pinky and go back into Marble and just tap that on the inner corner again, just to kind of boost that highlight that we had before. This is a very chalky shade. Super chalky. And I don't know if you can see, like, you don't get a very large, like, in-your-face sheen from this one. It's very subtle, so I don't think I like it for that reason. If you want a super bright white highlight, I would suggest Cloud from the Birthday palette, but this ain't it. I'm gonna go put eyeliner on and mascara, and then we'll come back and I'll finish my thoughts on this palette. Alright guys, so I'm back with liner and mascara, and obviously I've gotten dressed, worn real clothes. I'm gonna be in the same outfit as my Killstar video, which I'm filming next because I have a lot to talk about, and spoiler alert, I'm a little pissed. So stay tuned for that after this video goes up, but let's talk about Venus Immortalis right now. So let me take my glasses off, I'll show you the final look. So you can see this is what I ended up with. And we'll just get right into my review of it. So do I think you need this palette? I'm gonna go with overall no. I mean, you know my answer is usually no, because I don't think you need any sort of palette, but if this is something that you love the Lime Crime formula and you like cool tones, I say go for it. I will also say that I'm a little bit more disappointed in this palette than I am in some of the other ones I've reviewed in the past. First of all, when I first saw the ad for this, I was super excited and I screamed and I was like, oh my god, I need it, because these colors are absolutely delightful. Like, this is fall cool tones in a palette, you know, like my boyfriend's going to Salem next week, which I'm really jealous about, because I've always wanted to go to Salem during the fall. So this palette, like, this color scheme helps me live vicariously through him. This reminds me of, like, Witch Trials, Salem, like, Halloween, you know, without being super bright. It's, like, classy Halloween. I love it. So that being said, I love the color scheme, and this is super unique for Lime Crime, and I will insert my shade comparisons after this like I always do. But as you can see from those, or you'll see from those, I didn't find a whole lot of dupes in Lime Crime's collection. This is a very unique palette to their collection, so if you want good cool tones from Lime Crime and you missed out on their excess silver, this is going to be a good investment for you. I do really like a lot of these shades, but let me talk about a couple of the ones that I didn't really care for and why. The first one is Marble, which is this white shade right here, and I know this is supposed to be brighter than it is, but like, look at, I have hard pan in there already, and it's basically like chalk. Like, let me just swatch it for you. I dug my finger in there. Like, look at this. I dug my finger in there, and this is all I got from it. This shade is super disappointing to me, and I hate seeing that because I feel so bad. Like, it's a really pretty palette. It's a really pretty shade in the palette. The fact that it's got hard pan already and I haven't used this palette a ton makes me upset. The fact that this is the only payoff you get, and it's like, it's somewhere, it's weird because it's like somewhere between a matte and a shimmer, you know, like you can see the glitter flecks in it when I like flash it around. I'm sorry if you're getting like a lot of the mirror and stuff. I sit in front of my window because I'm poor. Can't afford a ring light, but here we go. And this shade just makes me sad because I know it has the potential. They make good whites. They made a good white in the birthday palette, so this upsets me because I know they can do better. And obviously they don't want to do a complete dupe of that shade, but this just kind of missed the mark for me, so I'm not super happy with that. Ash is another one, because as I was saying when I was doing this look, I don't know who would really want a sheer gray to put all over their lid. Like, it's not something I would do just to like slap on a sheer gray and then go out. You know, like, I'm sure there are people who would. I don't think it would look good on me, and maybe that's why I'm disappointed with it. I think it packs really well. Like, I used it underneath this shimmer I have on my lid today, and it looked fine doing that, but it needs something else. Like, it can't just, this isn't good for a crease shade. It barely shows up. You know, it's fine for blending out looks. Like, I was able to diffuse that shimmer and like the edge a little bit with this look, but I don't know, like, something about it I'm just not super excited about. I want to keep playing with it, you know. I think this isn't like going to be a final be-all end-all review because I have changed my mind before. But as it currently stands, not my favorite shade, but not my least favorite either. And then the last one I'm not 100% with is the shade Cameo right here. I don't really know what the purpose of this shade is, and here, I'll give you a swatch of this one too. And it's just like, look how light it is. It like practically matches my skin. You can't even see it. It's like, again, it's good for diffusing and blending, but it's not good for a crease shade, and that's disappointing to me because I don't know what else I'd use it for. And a lot of these shades you can't start with in the crease because they're either dark red or dark black, as opposed to like a light black. Oh my goodness, no. But yeah, so that's just kind of confusing to me. I don't really know what I would do with it otherwise. Again, not a huge pet peeve of mine. Like, I still have use for it, but it definitely turns me off of this palette. And then to talk about the shades that I actually do like, Echo, Moth, Hail, Unseen, and Unveil. So like most of the palette, I like these shades. So this one, that one, right here, and right here. It's basically just these three that I'm not really digging. Everything else is absolutely beautiful, and I've already put my swatches in earlier, and I'll, you know, when you see the shade comparisons, I'll talk about them a little bit more, but I really do like those shades. I think they're beautiful. You don't have to use them with a glitter glue like I did, you know. And in my earlier looks, when I filmed them before doing this portion of the video, like you'll see them later, but I filmed them before, I just used setting spray or like my primer spray to wet them, and it worked just fine. So, in conclusion, I do really like this palette. I love the color scheme. It reminds me of like creepy things, and I love it, but I think if you're looking for a really solid cool tone palette, this isn't gonna give you what you want, and it makes me so sad to say that because I love Lime Crime's formula, and I've loved just about any other thing I've tried from them, but this palette just didn't really do it for me, and I'm gonna keep it because I'm a filthy collector, but I don't know, it falls a little bit short for me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this portion of the video. If you want to keep seeing shade comparisons and the looks that I did with this palette prior to the one that I just filmed today, then keep watching, and I will see you really soon in my Killstar video. Bye! after the last video actually. Today we are swatching and comparing the Venus Immortalis palette. Almost forgot what it was called even though it's right in front of me. This is the newest edition and I believe the final addition to the Venus family according to their posts, which are very cryptic. It's kind of like, oh, the reign of Venus is over, but that's kind of what they're going for here, I think. So this packaging is actually glow in the dark. I think it'd be kind of cool to test it later, but it hasn't gotten much sun, so we're not going to do that right now. But this is what the palette looks on the inside. As you can see, it is very cool toned. Lots of grays, silvers, kind of taupey browns here. This part of the packaging is also glow in the dark apparently. You can see me right there. Hello. And I've already done swatches, so this is what they look like on my arm right here. And we're just going to go through like I do in every video and compare shades individually. So let's go ahead and get into that. So here is my stack of palettes that we're working with today for dupes. We have the 1 and 2, Venus 1 and 2, the birthday palette, the Excess Silver, and one of the Diamond Dews in the shade Magnet. So let's just go ahead and get into it. I'm going to swatch on my hand this time because I think my wrist is a little bit hard to see sometimes. So we'll try something new. We're going to do Unseen first. This is a matte black. This is the only matte black that Lime Creme has ever put out to my knowledge, so that's very exciting. Let's go ahead and give a swipe of that. I mean, that's one swipe right there, and I can try to like blend it out a little bit. I have used this palette already. I thought this blended really, really nicely, so I like this black as a whole. And the only other black shade is in the Venus 2, and that is the shade Boot down here, and obviously these aren't going to be a match because this one has glitter in it. You can see very different, but I'll swatch it next to it anyways and just give you a look at how the two perform together. So yeah, hopefully you can see kind of the rainbow glitter in that one. It's also a little bit less pigmented. So that is the first shade. Alright, the next shade we're going to be swatching is this one right here called Echo, which is kind of like a pyrite taupey shimmer. If you don't know what I mean by pyrite, it's fool's gold. It's basically like, you know, fake gold. But this has got like a very cool brownish taupey sort of shifts to it. Not quite silver, but a little almost. And I found dupes in the Excess Silver, and then also I brought this out to swatch for that shade. And the one that I found in this one right here is the shade Luminous, which I absolutely adore. If you watched my Venus XS video, I love that shade. That's what I mean. This is like a true pyrite fool's gold shade. And this one is a lot chunkier. But these are practically the same tone. It's just that Excess Silver, I believe the shade's called Luminous, is a lot chunkier. You could probably even tell when I swatched it that it's much chunkier. I'll clean my fingers off and then we'll swatch this one. This is the Diamond Dew in Magnet. I picked this one up at Nordstrom Rack, so if you're looking to get these shades but you don't want to pay $20 like I didn't, then you can get them there. Swatch this one on the other side. Alright, so this one is a bit more silver, but it's still got the same general tone to it, so here is our new shade in the middle. Yeah, you can see that's definitely more silver. This is the Excess Silver, and that's the Diamond Dew in Magnet. For this next shade, this is called Moth. I surprisingly found nothing that matches this shade, which is surprising. Well, I just said surprising, but you know what I mean. Like, it's kind of shocking because normally you can find something that's even a little bit close. I scoured all my Lime Creme palettes and didn't find a single thing that came close to this. So hopefully you can see right there. It's a pretty light swatch. I also apologize if you can hear the wind and rain in the distance. It is raining very hard, and also the wind is beating it against the house, so there's that. This is an interesting color. It's like a taupe shimmer, but it's got sort of a pinky shift to it. I don't know if you can see it on camera. It's especially hard to tell on my hand, but it's got kind of a pink shift to it. And I thought for sure I would be able to find one in the Venus XL palette. Whoa, where's the focus? But I actually wasn't able to find one at all. So that shade, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, does not have a dupe. For our last shade in the top row, we have the shade Marble, which is a very beautiful shimmery white. This is a pure white pigment with a lot of shimmer to it. This one I don't find has a lot of pigment to it. It's very sheer. know if you can see it very well on my hand. It's like a really soft glow, so don't expect like an in-your-face white glow. I found one dupe for this. It is in the birthday palette and is the shade Cloud right here. As you can see, this is a much brighter version of that. So Marble's right here. Swatch Cloud right next to it. So Cloud is on top, you have Marble on the bottom. They're both white. Marble is very sheer in comparison again. Cloud has a lot of glitter to it, so I would say if you want like a super glittery, in-your-face, shiny white, Marble is not going to be a shade that you'll enjoy that much. Next we have the shade Unveil, which is a deep dark cool toned red, if you can have a cool toned red, which I believe you can in this palette. It's got a little bit of a purpley base to it, but not really. It is mostly a red tone. But yeah, you can see even on camera it's got a little bit of that red to it. And for this one, I found two in the original Venus palette, and those are going to be Venus and Muse. Venus is obviously a lot more bright red, has some shimmer to it. Muse is down here, a little bit deeper, but still more of a true red pigment. So there's Venus and Muse right there. So you can see super red, super almost like pinky red, and then there's this one that looks practically just purple in comparison to the other two. But I do believe it shows up more red when you put it on the eyes. Next we have the shade Ash, which is a matte gray right here. This is another really sheer shade, and you can see I dipped into that pretty hard, but we'll do another swipe of it. Just roll that around a little bit and get maybe a little bit more pigment out of that. Go ahead and swatch that right here. Yeah, it looks much darker in the pan than it shows up on the skin, which can be a little bit disappointing if you're expecting a nice deep grade, you know, to deepen up your looks. And in the Venus XS palette again, we have the shade Plated, which is this matte gray right here. This is, in comparison, a much deeper gray. This gray also comes off a little bit more taupe, maybe a little bit warm, like again, like I said in that video, more of a heather gray, whereas this one is kind of like tombstone gray. So you can see the two next to each other. Obviously, Ash has a lot less pigment to it, but it was very soft, so I'm sure it has its use, but right now I'm looking at it thinking, ah, great, another sheer matte. So we'll see how this plays on the eyes. For our next shade, we look again to the XS palette, and that's going to be our shade Hail right here, which in comparison to Echo is a much cooler, I keep saying cooler as if this whole palette isn't cool, but it's like a more true silver. So there's that one. See how this one has more of just a plain silver pigment to it and doesn't really have that kind of taupey fool's gold look. I'm sorry I keep saying that. If you're not from Nevada or a mining place and you don't really get that, I apologize. It's just kind of how I describe it. So we have this shade right here from the XS palette, and this one is called Sterling. Not Sterling Archer. I'll swatch that on this side. So in comparison, these two look really similar. I would say that this new one, Hail, is a little bit more foiled. I imagine they both play well with some setting spray, but I think maybe if you want a punchier look, this new shade would be a little bit for you, but otherwise, tones, speaking solely on tone, they are similar enough to me that I don't think you need both. And for our final shade, we have this matte over here. This is called Cameo. This is kind of another taupe shade, probably for a transition. That's how I used it anyways. I know for a lot of people, including myself, this can be just like for setting the lid. Yeah, see that barely shows up on me, so that would be maybe for blending. It'd be good. And I found the shade again in the XS palette. This is Crescent up here. Really similar tone. You can tell pretty close. Okay, so it's hard to tell. This Crescent shade up here, yeah, I'm sorry, they're so sheer. So this is Cameo, right? Yes, and then this one is Crescent. And Crescent has a little bit more brown to it, like a warmer brown, again, sort of more of a heather gray than Cameo does. but I think for the purpose of like blending out and transition, these two are close enough.